Hey everybody, Poker Dad here. So I am about to do my poker study here for tonight. First, just a little of an announcement. Today, Redshift Poker put out a new course. A It's called Core, and it's exactly what I've been looking for in a course. Something very structured, from the ground up type of a poker course. So I actually canceled my Upswing subscription because I just felt like maybe it was not geared towards the limits that I'm playing right now. And I'd really like to just kind of learn in a structured way from ground up. And I think Redshift Poker is a great place to do it. Plus, it's an amazing price, only $5 a week, and really top quality people. So, I'm pretty excited about it, and I did my first course today, which was on poker math. So here in my study session now tonight, just I want to take all these things that I just learned, which is pretty basic stuff. A lot of it I already knew already, and look at it with a session that I played where I saw the flop on each of these hands. So I took a session where I saw the flop 12 hands. This was an old session when I was playing NL, I guess NL 25 on America's Card Room. I don't know what the hell I was thinking playing NL 25 over there, but whatever. So things I'm gonna be looking for is expected value. Is my play an EV play? Which is of course subjective, I guess at this point. Do I have the equity to make a call? There's a 4-2 rule, which of course I'm sure many of you know about, where you calculate the amount of outs you have. Um, by 4 on the flop and 2 on the turn, usually, to determine if you have enough equity to call based on the pot odds frequencies, which is what we see a lot with the HUDs, which unfortunately you can't see on the screen, but I'll let you know what I'm looking at, and I can actually get the little pop-up to be able to show you. So the frequency that somebody folds, some frequency that somebody does a c-bet, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Um, and how do I have the, so I'm going to take a look and see if I have the proper pot odds to call. I'm going to look at implied odds. So if I don't have the proper pot odds, do I have implied odds? I'm going to look to see, how many combos of a hand I think that can beat us. So I'll estimate about how many combos I think could possibly beat me on a particular board. And if I'm going to bet, what would be my break-even percentage to kind of come up with a bet sizing that I should use. I need to know if I have any fold equity, which of course would be hand equity plus fold equity. So I'm going to move this up to the other screen here. And I'm going to start my study now. So let's see. So all the hands that I chose, I at least see the flop. Some hands I may fold on the flop. So I think this should be pretty interesting. So let's see. The button opens up here. So the button, just so you are aware, is a 20.75 VPIP and a 31 PFR. Through 58 hands, a very small sample size. And I call it with 9/8 suited in the big blind. So I think the first thing I'm going to want to do is create a range for this guy. So he is a 13 PFR. I could go a little bit deeper, but with 58 hands, I'm not going to look at position. I'll just say that he's a 13 PFR. Because I'm going to want to have this information for, I will need a range to come up with some combos. Right, so this is what this player's range is pretty much going to look like as a 13 PFR. I could look and look a little bit deeper into it by position, PFR, but it's a very small sample size, only 10 hands at the button. So so let me just put in my hand here, which is 8-9 of clubs. And let me get the board, which is, I could actually easily do it this way. Queen of spades, king of diamonds, and 10 of clubs. Okay. So as we can see, the first thing we want to look at is equity. So my equity on this board against his range is 20%. So let's see what happens here. I check to him, which is definitely the right play, because if I were to look at my break-even percent, which is risk plus reward, um, you know, a half pot bet would give me 33% break even, but my equity here is 20%. So this is definitely not a board that I would want to bet on with this particular percentage. Also, he is the pre-flop raiser. Another reason, of course, why I'm going to check it off here. So he only his c-bet flop is only 2 opportunities, so it's really not. I'm not really gonna. The frequency is probably pretty such a low sample. It really doesn't matter. So he bets into me $1.14 into a $1.60 pot. So this is like a 2/3 pot bet. So the pot odds is actually already calculated up here, but it's 29% pot odds. I could also just easily figure it out that it's 29% just based on his bet here, which is a 2/3 pot size bet. So if it was a pot size bet, I would need 33% equity to continue. 2/3 pot, I need at least 29% equity to continue, and if it was a half pot bet, I need about 25% equity to continue. So knowing that this right here is I have 20% equity on this board against his range, I should be folding. I should be folding here. I could look at implied odds, and I don't really believe my implied odds. I mean, well, actually, the thing is here, we do have an open-ended straight draw. So 9, 10, jack. Oh, no, we don't have a jack. We don't have an open. So we have a gut shot. Plus the backdoor flush draw. I don't think. I guess the implied odds are pretty borderline. So let's see. How many outs? Let's look at the 4-2 rule. Well, no 9 or 8 is really going to help me here in this board because they would, they could create a pair, but it's not going to be a pair to be able to beat one of these hands here. So the ways that I can improve my hand would be 2 more clubs coming out. So there are 13 clubs minus 3, so that's 10, right? So that's 10 outs, plus 4 jacks. But really, the jacks aren't helpful to me if he has an ace. So I think that really hurts our implied odds even more. So I could really just say that I have 10 outs. 10 times 4 is 40%. So I do have the implied odds to call here. So even though I don't have well, still, actually, no, I don't. So the implied odds are 40%, but still my equity is 20%. So I think I need to fold here. In fact, you know what? I'm glad I'm doing this because I just created a question for myself that I will ask in the forum. And the question is, I have 20% equity versus, actually, let me just pull up, let's do it right, type it right here. I have 20% equity versus my opponent's range. The pot odds are 20%, and I have 10 outs, and I have a backdoor flush draw with 10 outs to improve on the turn and river. Have 9-8 suited, and the board is king. What is it? King 10, queen, rainbow. Do I have the odds to call? So I think my thought process here is I probably don't have the odds to call. Um, I think I don't have the odds still to call here because I the only way I can improve my hand is with clubs. So I mean, if let's just say I just want to use an unconnected card. Let's just say six of clubs came out. I would still only have 25% equity. So I think the answer to the question is no. Um, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. I think it's a good question. So either way, in this particular hand, I should definitely be folding in this hand. Now, other things to look at here. I mean, I don't really think even combos makes is it that big of a deal. I mean, they're going to be, even though there are okay, so there are 16 uh, combos. I think there are 16 combos with jacks in it. No, 24 combos that could have jacks. 6 pocket pairs, and then 16 unpaired hands. So there's a lot of jacks that he could possibly have, plus any of the pairs he could have here. And most importantly, the big concern is not even a jack, but if a jack comes out, if he has an ace. So if a jack came out of any kind, well, of course that would make my equity better. But of course, if he has, I still have to be concerned that he has an ace, considering he has all of these aces in his range. He has a bunch of combos that have aces, right? So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 times what did I say? It's 16 plus, so 7 times 24 is 168 plus 6. So he's got 174 combos of aces, possibly, in his range. So I'm even going to write down opponent has 174 combos of aces in his range. Ace 10 suited through ace king suited, ace ace, and ace jack offsuit through ace king offsuit. So I think that we definitely want to fold this here because ultimately I think the jack would not help us because we'd be on the wrong side of the straight still. So I think 8-9 is a hand to fold, and I do fold it. Okay. Next hand. Anything else that I missed on that one? I looked at combos. I wasn't betting there. Fold equity wasn't an issue. I checked out the equity. I mean, obviously calling would have been a minus EV play. I don't think that's even a question. So, all right. So next up here, I am in what's considered the middle position in a spot with a 5-handed table, and I open raise with ace 9 suited. Oh, the other thing I did about this filter is I made sure it was only a heads-up pot. I only wanted to look at heads-up pots here. So here we have somebody. He has 55. We have 55 hands on him, and I didn't play too much NL25 at ACR, so we're not going to get too much of a sample size on these guys, unfortunately. But it's still a small general idea. So this guy is calling from the big blind. So let's kind of just get a general idea of his range. We don't really know too much about his big blind range because we don't have enough hands on him. But this guy is a 25.93 VPIP, so 26 VPIP, and his 3-bet at this point, out of 20 hands, he's 3-bet twice, so a 10% 3-bet. I'm just going to say I'm just going to narrow it down to 5% because 2 out of 20 is just not a big sample size. So let's go 26.5. I don't think we can give him a 10% 3-bet based on that. Based on only that amount of hands. So we'll give him 5%, which I think is fair. Even this here, 4.96 is fine. So we'll say that this is this guy's range, and I was dealt ace 9 of hearts. So my equity here versus his range. Oh, I don't have a board yet. Duh. 10, 5, 2. So we have 10 of spades, 5 of spades, and 2 of clubs. Okay. So my equity versus this particular range is 43%. So it's not bad. It's not bad. We have the ace, so we have, we do have an ace that we can play around with here. There's not too many ways to improve this hand. The only real, but his range is pretty big though too for the most part. And this range doesn't really hit. I mean, his range doesn't really hit his board too well either, with the 5s and the 2. So I think that's another reason why we have decent equity here, 43%, because of the fact that this board doesn't really hit his range too well either. Even though we're missing on the suits, and we have the 9, but we have the ace. So 43% equity. It's an interesting spot because I never would even thought about a hand like this having 43% equity on a board like this, and it's really not terrible at all. Which means a lot of times we could definitely continue if we're bet into, and we can even bet too. But let's see, we're in position, so this is actually a spot I think we can bet if he checks into us. So let's take a look, okay? So he does check into us. So now I think I want to take a look at a couple things. Do I have... Because I'm not worried about any kind of 4-2 rules or anything like that. We're not calling a bet. So I want to look at frequencies. Although I don't have a huge sample size, it's only 50%, but it's only in 2 hands. So I don't really even have a big sample size there. So I think I can take a look at... what I can take a look at to possibly get a fold here, I think would be break even percentage. So I think if I just want to take a stab at this pot to get a fold with a C bet, I can actually do a 2/3 pot bet here. So a 2/3 pot bet here has a 40% break even percentage, and my equity is around 43%. So I can actually do a 40% C bet here and possibly get a fold. Now, in terms of outs, I only have 3 outs. So I guess if we did 3 times, that would be 12%. So I mean, I could check or bet here, and maybe I want to look at a half pot size bet. Maybe I want to look at a half pot size bet here instead of a 2/3 pot size bet here, since most cards that come out probably won't be as good for me. So let's just say, for instance, I'm just curious. So I'm at 43%. Let's say an ace of clubs came out. Well, yeah, I mean that's going to be great for my equity. So even though I might be losing to an ace jack. Well, okay. So here's the thing. Okay, I see. The aces he has in his range that are better than mine are ace jack and ace 10. So that's another reason why ace 9 it has better equity, because of the fact that he doesn't have ace ace, he doesn't have ace king, and he doesn't have ace queen. So there are only two aces that are better than mine. So that would be let me pull up the calculators so it's on screen here. So there are 16 ace 10s and 16 ace jacks. So here there are only 32 combos that are better than mine. I'm not going to include the ace 9s that are I'm not going to include the ace nines that I'm chopping with. So there are only 32 combos of aces. So I'm not really too worried about him having better aces than me because there aren't that many combos for his range. So I think that this is a spot that I would want to actually throw out a c-bet. So let me type this down. I have 43% equity versus my opponent's range. They are an unknown when it comes to fold to flop c-bet. I have ace 9, ace hearts, 9 of hearts, and the board is where were we? And the board is 10, 5, 10 of spades, 5 of spades, and 2 of clubs, which misses a lot of my opponent's range. He only has 32 combos of better aces in his range as well. I think in this spot I can throw out a 2/3 pot c-bet in position since I have a 40 better than 40% break even percentage. So I think that's that's a reason here why I can actually c-bet him here and expect a possible fold here as well on this board that is just really not very good for him. So let's see if I throw out a c-bet. I don't. So I think right here I definitely missed an opportunity when he checked to me to c-bet, but this is something I didn't know now. But now when I think about it and I think about his range and the situation comes up, I can say, well, he doesn't have many aces in his range, so I think this is definitely a spot that I can throw out a c-bet. And I'm not gonna, I guess I could think about how many clubs he might have in his range too, but again, I think this is just a good spot to throw out a c-bet here. So the turn comes a 10 of clubs. So let's see. A 10 of clubs actually still improves my equity versus his range. He does have a lot more 10s in his range than he does have aces in his range. So I think what I want to really look at here is now what he does. So now he bets into me, and he bets into me a little bit over half pot. So I have 27% equity here. So I think what I really want to do now is I want to kind of narrow down his range and see what my equity would be, because I don't want to just go based off of his full range now. I think I want to take a look at it from take a look at what kind of hands that he'd be betting me with here and see what my equity would be, because I think it would be a lot lower than 48% at this point. And considering I only have 3 outs to improve my hand, so if we would just take 3 times 2, it would be 6. I would need, I would need to have, 6% equity to well, it's not even like 6%. It would be 2 times 4. I mean, it would need 6% pot odds in order to call. I think this is probably just a very easy fold here. But I just want to see what my equity looks like when I put the cards in that he'd be betting with here. So full house, straight, three of a kind. There is no overpair. Um, Pocket pair below top pair. He actually could be doing this. It's always possible. Um, a middle pair. It's always possible because he has two pair. He might be doing that with two pair. Even though it's not a real two pair, he might be doing it with something like that. And is it possible that he's bluffing out of position? It's possible, but I'm gonna say no. So when you take that into account, the equity in my hand is actually 4%. So my equity in my hand is 4%. If I multiply 3 outs by 2, that's 6%. And the pot odds here are 27%. Then this is a hand I definitely now have to fold. So what you can think about here, though, is that um, it is a hand that I definitely could have still c-bet when he checked to me. Even with all of these tens, because now there always is a possibility that he might be bluffing now. But of course, I'm going to fold it. So I'm going to take a look at one more hand here. So here we get about a half pot open raise. What is that? 54 divided by 0.25. A little bit over 2 big blinds. So I have ace king here, and I actually flat the ace king. Boy, this is when I was a real noob. Can you believe me flatting ace king? So I flatted ace king. All right, so let's not worry about the fact of how terrible that was. And we go heads up. So let's see. His range again is 26%. It's the same range. Oh no, this time he was a pre-flop raiser. So we'll give it 22%. And his range, of course, is going to be stronger than mine this time. So this is his range here. And I have ace of hearts, king of clubs. So versus range, I have 60% equity. And then the board is queen of diamonds, 10 of hearts, and 5 of hearts. So my equity here is 47%. What I have a gut shot here, but I also have 2 overcards as well. So 47% makes a lot of sense here. He does have a ton of aces. He has a bunch of kings. So, but I'm going to be on the defensive here on this hand. So let's take a look. I mean, he's got a bunch of aces, but all of his aces don't beat our aces. If he's going to bet with like an overcard or something like that. Now, in terms of top pair queens, he doesn't have a lot of them. Let's see. Just looking at top pair. Let's see. So he's got. Oh, am I calculating that correctly? Yeah, 16. Oh, 16 plus 6 is 22. Idiot. 16 plus 6 is 22. I messed up the calculations of the combos before. I'll have to fix that before I post it. Of the combos of aces. So it's actually 22 because 16 unsuited and 6 paired combos. Yeah, so he's got 22. Well, actually, let me do it this way. 16 times the 9s, 10s, jacks, kings, and aces. So 16 times 5 plus 6. So he has 86 combos of queens. And then the same thing goes for tens. So queens, he has ace-6 combos of queens. So if an ace or a king come out, I mean, that's not bad. That's not terrible. He doesn't have too many queens in his range for me to be too terribly worried about. But he's got all the good queens, of course. But again, I have two overcards, so hopefully he has one of these 86 combos of queens. So let's take a look. He ends up checking off to me here. So his C bet frequency, again, not a big sample size here, 1 out of 3, so I really can't go crazy about that here. The question is now, can I bet here when he checks to me? Well, to improve my hand, to improve this hand, see, we don't think he has a queen now when he checks off to me. To improve this hand, I can improve this hand with a number of things. I have a backdoor nut flush draw, which there are 10 of those. So let's see. 10 hearts will help me improve my hand. And 3 kings and 3 aces and 4 jacks. So actually, there are 20 cards that will improve my hand on the turn. And if I multiply that by 4, that's 80. Pretty good. I think I can definitely throw out a bet here. I could even throw out a pot size bet here with a 50% break even percentage. So let's see. By using, I have ace king, ace of hearts, king of clubs, and the board is queen of diamonds, 10 of hearts, 5 of hearts. My equity versus my opponent in the what position is he in? He's in the middle position. I'm going to cut off. In the middle position, I'm in the cutoff. What was my equity? 47%. Range in the middle position is 47%. He was the pre-flop raiser, and he checked. What's going on? Check to me. Oh my God. To me out of position. I am thinking that since I have 20 outs to improve my hand, so 20 outs is 10 hearts, 3 aces, 3 kings, and 4 jacks that I can throw out a pot-sized bet with a 50% break-even percentage. Is this correct? Don't have many hands on my opponent to know of frequency or fold equity. Okay. So let's see. So let's see if I bet. I doubt it, knowing me back then. No, God knows what the hell I was doing back then. I do throw out a bet. So, but I throw out a half pot bet. So maybe a half pot bet isn't going to get the job done here, and he won't fold. But he did. So there you go. All right, this is pretty awesome. I'm definitely going to be doing more of this type of study. I think I'm going to focus on this for a few days before moving on to the next topic in the program. I like to be able to kind of really become really really know one topic before I move on to the next topic. So just doing this and just doing 3 examples isn't going to be enough. This is something I really want to work on in my poker math. I think this is great stuff and stuff I don't really think about too much. And I want to really get better and better and better at it. So this way then it kind of becomes second nature to me. So anyway, I appreciate you watching this video. And if you like what you saw, do me a favor, please subscribe. Until next time, Poker Dad.